Hello everyone, this is Texas Rails and Ratings Productions here, and just like last year, I'm going to be showing my best trains of the year for the final video of 2024. Now this video is being recorded on the 20th of December, so that way I can have this video uploaded just before 2025 arrives. However, unlike last year where I did a top 15 trains of 2023, this year I'm going to be doing a top 15 trains of 2024. Due to how many great catches I got this year, I decided to make a top 15 list. Anyways, before we get started with the top 15, I want to show some honorable mentions that didn't make the top 15. Starting off, we have KCS 4536 leading a grain train back in October. I know I've filmed several other Grey Ghosts before, but this was a nice catch because it was leading solo, and not to mention the Grey Ghost scheme from KCS are starting to become harder to catch. UP 1995 leading MLDDI and a grain train. I managed to catch it leading twice in 2024, and I was just going to mention it leading MLDDI, but I decided to also mention it leading a grain back in August. There's only one other locomotive in the top 15 that will be mentioned twice. Amtrak 164, the only Amtrak heritage unit I caught in 2024, and while it was nice to see it, it's not enough to make the top 15 unfortunately. WAMX 5007 and 5013's final train on the Austin Western Railroad. No ARR catches made the top 15 this year, and while I enjoyed catching this train knowing these two locomotives would leave the railroad afterwards, which was disappointing knowing these were the last GP50s on the railroad. And the final honorable mention is the KCS GP40-2 latch-up I caught back in July in Justin, Texas. I caught this train while on my trip and wasn't expecting it, but it was still a really good catch, especially because I don't see this happen due to the fact I'm not close to any CPKC tracks, even though this train was running on BNSF tracks before it would rejoin on home rails after I caught it. Anyways, let's get started with the top 15 trains of 2024. Number 15, we have UP 1988 leading MLD&L back in February on Valentine's Day. I caught 1988 4 times this year, and this one was my favorite catch of it in 2024. It's also fitting it came on Valentine's Day since it's in the color red. Really glad I got it leading at least once this year, since 1980 is probably my favorite UP heritage unit along with 1982. Number 14 is BNSF 191 leading a local. I did catch it trailing on 2 other trains this year, but I'm putting this catch of it in 14th. This is my first time I got to film a Santa Fe Bluebonnet leading a train. It was also nice that it was also a GP62. Maybe next year I could catch another Bluebonnet leading, but only time will tell. The next 2 on this list are UP heritage units. In number 13 is UP 1983. I finally managed to catch it leading in the daylight since my other 3 catches of it were at night, and plus it was leading 2 for this train, so it was a good thing too. Hopefully next time it comes back it will be in the daylight once again, like this one. In number 12 we have UP 1996. Now I will say something here, I wasn't actually expecting it to come. I got word from one of my friends saying it was leading an empty rock train south, so I went to Taylor to see if it actually was, and well, it was true. Like 1983, this was my first time I filmed 1996 in the daylight, since the other 2 times were at night back in 2022. Although I did see 1986 trailing on an oil train back in 2018, but didn't film it. But overall, this was a nice surprise catch nonetheless. Number 11 is CSX Operation Lifesaver Unit 4568, an early catch of the year, but still a great one. It's not often CSX SC70 Max come to Texas, especially this one, so it was really nice to see it. Even though it had the trail, I enjoyed catching it. Now into the top 10 at number 10 is Canadian Pacific Air Force Unit 7023. I didn't think it would ever come on the Austin sub, but it actually did, with it leading MLDDI. The only other CP heritage units I've ever seen were in the maroon and gray scheme, so this was a nice change. Who knows when another time when one of these will come through here on the Austin sub. Number 9, we have this lash up I caught in September in Milano of a BNSF local with 2 fallen flags of Santa Fe and Burlington Northern. I caught this while in Milano for a little bit before then, catching 4014 in Hearn, and this overall was a great catch to say the least, with BNSF GP60M 153 leading, and also with 191 second, which we mentioned earlier on the list, and also SD40-2 1981, which was in the Burlington Northern scheme. Overall, though, this is a really great catch to say the least, with the 2 fallen flags that made BNSF. In number 8, we have a Moscow, Camden, and St. Augustine Railroad SW900. Definitely wasn't expecting this either, but I caught this in Thorndale on a mixed freight back in October after catching 4014. Definitely didn't think I would catch one of these on the Austin sub, but it happened. Number 7 is UP 1943, the locomotive along with 1979 that made train of 2023 last year, but in 2024 it's in 7th place. This was back in February when I was leading MSA of WX, and I definitely couldn't pass it up since it's my favorite special engine scheme from UP. Really glad I managed to catch it leading, since the other time it came on the Austin sub in October, it was trailing second. Number 6, we have NS 8098, the only NS heritage unit I caught in 2024. I wasn't expecting it to come through here since it was on a Shreveport, Louisiana bound train, but then it was rerouted through Austin because of the derailment on its original route through Texas, so I ended up catching it. Still a really good catch nonetheless, especially because these trains don't come through here unless if they're rerouted. Now into the top 5. At number 5 is Montana Rail Link 4317. The first time I caught anything from MRL due to BNSF taking over them this year. But hopefully next year I can hopefully try and catch more of these, since they've been starting to come through Texas more often, but it only just depends when there'll ever be another time when one of these will come through. Then again, time will tell. Number 4 is UP 6706 leading a rerouted MSA EW. I've wanted to catch this engine leading for a while, and I finally got the chance to do so. I did even catch it trailing on MSA of W back in August, but I'm using it leading MSA EW on this list. Really glad I got it leading, since who knows how much longer this engine has in its C&W paint. And in third place at number 3 is FEC 823, also known as Florida East Coast. Now, I did see it back in March along with 4 other FEC locomotives bound for Ferromex, but I didn't film them since they were tied down and didn't leave until evening. But in November, 823 left Ferromex and was heading back to Florida and took the Austin sub. It definitely was rare for this to happen, especially on UP rails, but might happen again soon once the other ones leave Ferromex rails, but time will tell, honestly. In second place, at number 2, is Big Boy 4014. This was my train of 2021 when it came to Texas that year, but this time it's a number 2. I did enjoy catching the Big Boy all 3 times I went out for it. Maybe next year it'll come back to Texas, or who even knows, maybe 844 will come back into service after its hiatus and possibly to Texas, but that depends if the Steam team decides to bring it out, but time will tell. And finally, at number 1 for my train of 2024 is Canadian Pacific 2816 on the Final Spike Tour. I think you guys probably expected it to be at number 1, and it is. I really enjoyed catching the steam engine, knowing it's never visited in Texas until this year after the CBKC merger, and yeah, it happened. Even though I didn't go see it on its northbound trip back home to Canada because I was busy around that time and I didn't have time to go see it. But I was at least glad to see on its southbound trip. But yeah, that's my train of 2024, which is Canadian Pacific 2816. And that's my top 15 trains of the year. Overall, a great year for trains in my area, and hopefully more great catches to come in 2025. Thank you guys for a great 2024, and hope next year will be a great one too for what it will bring. Anyways, that's all for this video. So, this is me, Texas Rails and Racing Productions, signing off for the last time in 2024. Happy New Year, everyone, and see you guys in 2025.